even come to the jury.
Uh, not that. He gets third and he just is like, nope. Here's
Okay,
my vote.
hello and welcome to the Joy Roundtable for Fame and Glory. This is gonna just kind of be like your guys' time. Like, we're not gonna have like a structure. I'll just let you guys take care of it.
Tyler, babe, don't have the stream playing in the background.
Shade.
Sorry, love you.
Yeah,
Do
we
we wanna go-
haven't even started talking about the final three.
Do we want to go down the line and just say like our list of what our perceived votes are for right now?
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna be
we can
anticlimactic,
kind
but
of
we can.
Yeah, and then we can like obviously like some things might be up in the air, but we
Yeah.
can go down like, okay, I might vote this person and then this person and then this person.
How do we want to start?
I
Nick,
can
it was your
start.
idea.
Sure, I'll start. So in my head, I'd probably vote Zach first, over anyone. And then under Zach, there's this huge like 20,000 leagues under the sea space. And then I would maybe vote Devin and then Caleb. And I was saying earlier that I kind of I'm not going to call it a hot take. It is a warm take, I think. In the event that we have Devin and Caleb, I am not 100% set against voting Caleb. Sorry, I was like, wait, how did I word that? I'm not, as of right now, I lean like, I think I'd vote Devin in that scenario. However, I do think I might vote, I'm up in the air. It could be swayed. There's not 1% out of 7 billion people I think that could take me out of voting Zach, but that I'd say Zach, a big space, Devin, Caleb for me.
What would you want to see from Caleb to get you to vote for him over Devin?
I think I'd want to see more from Devin. God, and here I am, like I was just saying the other day, I'm like, I want to look for reasons to vote for people, but then I keep thinking and I'm like, do I have the reasons to vote for Devin? I think Devin's closest people were everybody Devin already knew. And so I have to take that into consideration too. But I'm like, yeah, that's where my list stands as of right now. I mean, a little up for change, but not much.
I also feel like if you are voting for a person who handled you better, it would be Caleb.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us would agree that Caleb probably handled us on our way out a lot better than Devin did.
Disagree.
I mean, I have some things to say to Caleb for sure.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Maybe for sure.
Maybe it's.
But, yeah. I could be convinced either way on those, but I do lean Devin in that scenario.
Well, Caleb talked to me before I was evicted, so at least Caleb has that.
Period.
For me, it's like Zach and then Devin, and that's it. This is a final two for me. No matter what scenario it is, there is a 0% chance that Caleb gets my vote in this final two against anybody. I don't care.
Yeah, I kind of second those rankings. Mine is kind of like Zach, Devin, then Caleb's like kind of got no chance. But I would hear out Devin and Zach if they're in the end together. I'm not 100% set on Zach. I do think that like Zach's game has just been like automatically like, oh, he's playing the best, but it hasn't really been dissected much. Like, no, we haven't really dissected Zach's game. So it's just such a like, oh, Zach's the best player. He came in it. He's the winner and all that. So I would be obviously, I think Zach is the favorite in that scenario, but I would be open, depending on the pitches, to vote for Devin over Zach.
Yeah, because I feel like Zach's game was more in the open, whereas like Devin and even Nolan before Nolan got sent to jury, like their games were a little bit more behind the scenes and hidden, and I want to see what they were actually doing. So I would agree with Brian. Like I feel like Devin has a chance, but like it's definitely Zach has a stronger chance right now because I feel like he had to do more, and that in an all-star season, that is stronger gameplay to me because that's the game that I was playing.
I think what I need from each of them, from Zach, I need Zach to say, I played the best. I dominated this game. I did the best, and you all know it. Obviously that's really cocky, but I don't want Zach to undersell himself. If Zach can't say I did that, then I Devin has a better shot at my vote, and I need Devin to say I manipulated every single one of you. Because let's be fair, he did. He said he didn't want to play a snaky game, yet here he is, the biggest snake sitting at the end. So I think if Devin can own that and make it look intentional, because there were a few moments in his game that I think really weren't strong. If he can bounce off of those, address them, but say I still did strong things, Devin does have a chance on my vote. When I was evicted, at the time of I was evicted, if you asked me who was playing the best game, it was Devin. If you asked me who I was voting for at the end over anyone, it was Devin. And I think he's definitely fallen off. And the fact that Zach made it this far is really impressive. And then from Caleb, I need Caleb to say, I said I wasn't going to play like I did every other time, and I played like I did every other time. I need him to own the fact that he was like, I'm not going to be flirty. I'm not going to be like, I'm going to be strategic. And there were times where he wasn't. There were times when he was, but there were times when he wasn't. And I think he needs to address that he did play very similar to how he has before. But if it's not broke, I mean, he's in final 3.
I want to hear
So.
those times that he was from him.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think that'll be important.
Because I agree. It was something from Caleb that I kind of think we're going to get. I think Caleb is going to try to stand behind his game too hard. He's going to be that, I did well. I know you don't like it, but guess what? I did it. And that's not how he needs to sell his game.
I need him to be more assertive than Caleb from season 8.
I need to see a modicum of like intention from Caleb's game, because honestly, most of Caleb's game just felt like lucky, random, like getting carried
in the wind.
Wasn't a threat, blowing in the wind, floating wherever he needed, like wherever he just fell. So like, I want to see that he was actually thinking about the game and making decisions with like, I'm doing this because I want to accomplish this and it's setting me up better for this. And I don't think that there was any point in his game that actually had that thought behind it, despite thinking strategically.
I will say though, one thing that Caleb did well, from my opinion, again, I'm very biased. My thoughts on Caleb is going to be very different than a lot of yours. I think Caleb and I's relationship was really good for him going into this game. Caleb and I were not someone that you would think would be close given circumstances. And so I think him being able to maneuver that and make a group. I mean, we had that group of me, Zach, Caleb, and Justin. In what world am I working closely with Caleb and Justin? So I think that was one thing that Caleb maneuvered well, is he saw people he could cling to and kind of rode them to the end. Is it necessarily win-worthy? Maybe not, but it's something I want him to talk on.
But even that, who formed that group? Like, was that not built because Justin made the deal with you in round 2?
No.
Me going up?
No, it was Caleb who made it. Caleb and I got on a call, and we were talking, and Caleb was like, I really enjoy working with you. Let's make a group. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, who do you feel good with? And I was like, well, like, I'm surprised with how much I'm talking with Justin. And he was like, perfect. You, me, Zach, Justin, I'm making it. And then he made it. And whether or not we were super loyal to it, whether or not it was our priority, it was in our minds, and there was strategy talk during it. So it did benefit him, and it was fully Caleb's doing. That group wouldn't have existed if Caleb didn't say, let's do it right now. Because I'm sure we all had a time where we were like, let's make a group, and it didn't happen. It was the round that Thomas and Julia were nominated. So I bet it was round 3, which is, I think, when you brought it up, but it wasn't Justin who did it. It was Caleb. So
Caleb did the same exact thing with me and Jeremy.
But then, well, originally he wanted one with me, Crispy, and Missy, and then he just never made it. And then at some point he panicked and made one with me and Crispy, just the two of us. And
then he kept talking, like that same exact conversation happened with him. He was like, who do you feel good with? And knowing that that he was close with Justin, I was just like, Justin seems cool. He did the exact same thing of perfect. There are going to be a 4. No one's going to expect it. I'm like, cool.
No, I don't think we'll work together.
Yeah. So I don't know if like that kind of strategy is really good, but and I'm not voting for Caleb under any circumstance. And there is I don't respect a flirt game ever, really. I think that's I just think that's an annoying way to play, truthfully. It doesn't show any strategic prowess. It
No
just
depth, no nothing.
yeah, no depth, no.
And I think
taking personal
there's
too
a
far.
difference between playing a flirt game and like meeting someone and building a connection in the game.
Mhm.
Like
Oh.
I would say like Kennedy and Devin, for example, is different than like Caleb and every man that breathed in the house.
Mhm.
And me,
And Kennedy.
Caleb's by.
Because I don't mind like a flirt game, like a Parvati-esque type game. The thing is, it's like if Caleb was playing that game, he didn't use any of those relationships to do anything. He didn't do anything with it. So how
Yeah.
is it really a strategy?
If anything,
Yeah,
it's
so,
just
like,
like giving into his emotions and then using that to like make emotional decisions, which further negates his strategic game even more. Like
And-
he was so but like blinded by Brian for some reason that like I don't know. He gave up so much shit that round because of Brian being on the block, and it didn't make any sense to me at all.
But the thing is, so the round before I went home, or like 2 rounds before I went home, I was on call with Caleb, and Caleb was like, "We need a group. Justin's obviously not here." Blah blah blah. And Caleb wanted the showmances, which was me and Devin and Caleb and Brian. And I didn't trust Brian. So I said, no. Brian will not be here. And he was like, okay. I just kind of rolled over and said, nope, we're not adding Brian. And then the group of me, Caleb, and Devin was formed. We had a call 10 minutes before eviction. I believe it was the crispy vote. And that was it. And there wasn't a ton of strategy to it, but Brian wasn't there. I don't know if that's good or bad for him, but Brian wasn't there.
So a thing you can do with being a flirt is you can use your flirt skills to actually lull the other person into like some kind of bond and some kind of relationship. Every single call that I had with Caleb, it was always him talking. It was always me. I don't think Caleb could tell me one fact about my life because he never asked, even though I told him many things about my life. And I don't think he ever actually cared enough to listen to it. And that's something that I don't respect. And if he proves me wrong, cool. I read Caleb as a person wrong. Still not going to vote for him. Cool. But I think that's where a flirt game could be good, but his flirt game is very bad.
That would be a good jury question. To say, hey, Caleb,
I know what
give
I'm
me a
asking him.
fact.
I
Yeah.
actually think
Sure.
Caleb talks well. Like, I mean, like, he's like, if I was hanging out with Caleb in person, I think he's relatable, but I don't think he channels it correctly.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't go anywhere, and I'm like, even at my eviction, when he got on call with me, he was like, yeah, I was 90% sure I was evicting you, but now I'm only like 70% sure I'm evicting you. So I'm going to make sure to tell him when I go up in jury, I was like, you know what? Well, I was 100% against voting for you, but now I'm like 99% sure no, I'm gonna vote for you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he just has to channel it well, because when he talked to me, I was like, oh, I'm so into this. And not in like, he never flirted with me and I never flirted with him. Because honestly, when I got on calls, I was like, okay, strategy, let's go. I don't have time. And
If got you on calls.
Huh?
You
Nothing.
mean, are you jealous that he didn't talk about wanting to cuddle with you?
Oh,
Nick,
I was like,
Caleb.
I would get on call with Caleb.
Did Nick say he'd cuddle with you, Crispy?
Yeah, that was like one of our very first calls. He said, well, I don't know if you know anything about my past games. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about your past game. And he goes, I was the flirt of the season and a lot of people didn't really respect it. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. He goes, anyway, yeah, so I'm definitely not going to play like that. But you seems like somebody that would be really fun to cuddle. If I come to
This is
Chicago
Nick
with-
talking, not Caleb?
This is Caleb.
This is
Caleb said the
Nick.
same thing to me. He's like, I think you'd be like a really good cuddle person. And then I was just like, okay. And then I just like mulled over it. I'm like, okay, so who are we evicting? So
doesn't
like
wanna
I
cuddle
don't
with me.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like, of course, he's like, I'm gonna come to Chicago, and like, can we cuddle when I come to Chicago? And like, what am I supposed to do in that situation? Be like, I don't think so. Like, of course I'm gonna say yes. Like, and just be like, well, yeah, sure. And then he like proceeds to be like, because I'm so tall, I'm always Big Spoon. Will you be Big Spoon? And I'm like, okay, whatever. Cool.
I will say, I mean, and this isn't like a secret from literally any of you. I am really close with all three of the final three. Like Caleb and Zach more so. I've talked more in the game, and personally and stuff. And I will say that like Caleb is very similar outside the game. He's just like that.
Yeah.
But I think him trying to maneuver it as like a strategic thing didn't play out for him. But he is just kind of like that.
I do really like Caleb as a person.
I adore him.
I just think his game was just super unfocused. That's what it was. His game was everywhere. It was everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And he does not channel it correctly.
Like glitter.
I think Caleb's biggest problem is that he is a better talker than he is listener.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
He literally, the number of times that I would be on call with him and I would be like saying something and I wouldn't even finish my sentence yet, and he's already starting to respond to what I'm saying. I'm like, that shows me that you're literally not listening to me. You're listening to respond, and you're the whole time I'm talking, you're thinking about what you're going to respond with. So like that doesn't equate to good social skills in my mind.
Do we know his zodiac sign?
I kind of want to ask him what my name is. If he actually tells me that my name is Crispy, I'm like, oh.
Well, you know, if you ask him for a fact about you, he's gonna say you have a pug.
Yeah.
You're from Chicago.
Yeah.
He's a Cancer.
What?
Makes so much sense. He's a Cancer.
Oh.
Yeah.
He said
Like-
he's a good
Oh.
He's like, I know one thing about you, Crispy. You're really good at cuddling.
Can we drag all three of them like this? Because I feel bad.
Yeah.
Caleb's is gonna watch this and be like, they hate me.
We love you, Caleb.
We love you
Your
so
game was
much.
unfocused, girl.
Speak for yourself.
I think like
I almost
both
bought a
com-
fan at Target today.
Oh wait, Nolan was gonna say something.
Oh, and I mean, like, I think, you know, Jeremy's upset. I'm definitely like upset about the way, like, I think it's like kind of shitty to go on a live night and sit like on a 4-person chat and then just like gas people up and then go into Zoom and then win HOH and like be like, I told you I'm not a sheep. And then like, and then I don't, and I think I had this conversation with Brian Kenny, whoever was on the Zoom the other night, but I was like, I just cannot believe Caleb at the end of the day, like, at least in my mind, thought that Jeremy was like a bigger threat than Zach was after like Zach was so clearly like after Caleb at that particular point.
Like,
So
both of them. That was so bad.
and Devin too, like it has like, I don't like being like, people do it all the time and it's a two-way street, but I'm on jury. So like suck my dick. But like when people like gas you up, like, oh, you're gonna do that, like, oh, we're gonna win this, like during the Final Four endurance comp, like Devin was texting me like in the endurance comp as we're balancing our feet, like, you know, you're good with me, like you can drop or whatever. And then like to go on and like evict me and act like it's some like hard decision, it was just kind of like rubbed me the wrong way because I thought like the other option was like the better decision, but like,
Oh, it was.
We all were literally sitting in jury being like, so Zach goes here, right? Devin would be stupid to evict Nolan, right?
Yeah.
And
Like,
then
literally,
dead ass, you got
right?
it.
it's not
Yeah.
even, I'm not even trying to like make it about me. I just think like the
No, make it
scenario
about
for Devin to like, for in Devin's mind, Devin thought that for Devin, like he needed to win final part HOH against me and Caleb to win, to make it to the final two, which is true. I was probably going to cut him. Caleb was probably going to cut him. But now he's in a situation against Zach in the final part HOH, who I think if you compare like mine and Caleb's comm skills to like Zach's comm skills, especially in, I think Devin, like we're talking about Caleb not knowing things about people, but like as much as close as like me, Devin and Brian were, like I don't really know anything about Devin aside from the fact that like he went to the New York trip He graduated grad school. I honestly could not tell you where. That's probably my fault. And he
No,
just moved into a new apartment or his own place. Like that's like to the extent of it. Like Devin is probably one of the more game body call people that you go on call with. To where like Caleb, he's like a bit of half and half. Like I had some good personal calls with him, but I also know that like Caleb can be like very wishy-washy, and I don't like speaking much, but like the one thing I'll end off with Caleb on why like the one round that pissed me off was when he said that like people were telling me that Caleb said he was going to figure out how I was voting and then just do whatever I was doing, and I was like, you can't steal my thing. But yeah, my rant is over.
I had two thoughts on that. One, and Crispy can back me up here. That New York trip was very low key, very chill. The only time that game really got brought up when I noticed it is because Devin was bringing up. Devin was constantly bringing up the game. We would be talking and Devin would be like, "Were you guys strategizing?" And so then, like,
Well, we
at
turned it
one
into a
point,
huge joke at that point.
oh, it was a joke. I remember Crispy and I standing at the bar and like pointing and being like, "They're gonna see us pointing," and we caught their alliance. It's right there. Like it became a thing, and like Devin brought up game at points that Devin should not have brought up game. And so it was just it was very game body, and it makes you question like who even is this guy. And then also, oh my god, what was the other one I was gonna say? Oh, you sorry. No, after Jeremy. It's
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
I'll tell you after.
I was like,
no, I'll tell you after. What was I gonna say now? Oh, you said that Caleb was very wishy-washy. Did Devin ever tell anyone where he was solidly voting unless it was blatantly obvious?
every single round.
Yep.
Every single round he
I
messaged
asked Devin.
me where he was voting, but 99% of the time it was a lie.
I sent him a paragraph. I said, Jeremy just told me all of this, saying that you're voting me out. Before this, when it was me and Zach, I said, Devin, are you voting me out? And he said, I don't think there's anyone that you could be sitting next to, or there are very few people that you could be sitting next to that I wouldn't keep you. And I was like, okay, cool. Everything happens. Zach's not there. I'm sitting on the block. I say, Devin, are you voting me out? And he says, and I quoted it. He said, you know where my head is at, or you know where I stand. I've never changed my narrative. I knew he was voting me out the entire day, because if he can't look at you and say, I'm not voting you out, he either hasn't decided or he's voting you out. And that one, terrible jury management. If I didn't respect him as much as I do, I would be pissed. But I respect him as a player because he made a game move, and I understand that. But respect me as a player to talk to me and don't lie to me. Don't not even lie to me, but don't talk around it. Don't beat around the bush. He made some really shitty situations. He put me, he made me take the heat for terrible moves that he made, and I continue to stand by him as a player. Respect your jury.
The only thing with the jury management part that I will say, it's like so like in the alternate world where he just like straight up tells you he wants to vote you out right in the beginning of the round, that would damage his relationship with Zach within the game. Mm-hmm. I think you would have been mad, I think, if Devin told you straight up that he was voting you out. I think it would have negatively impacted the game a lot. If he,
I was more mad with what I was hearing that Devin was saying than what Devin was actually saying. I would have rather him be straightforward. And Jeremy took the heat at me being mad for Devin. Sorry, Jeremy, I love you.
And I also don't actually know if Devin wanted Julia to go home or if Devin wanted Jeremy to go home, because as like Brian knows, we discussed in like our chat, because we were the swings, because Michael and Nick were set on saving Jeremy, and Brian was like, I kind of want to save Jeremy here, and like, what do you guys want to do? And I was kind of like, yeah. Devin was like, I'm down to do whatever, and I was like, yeah, sure, we can do that. And then I knew that like after Julia said her thing to me, I flipped my vote, but because of like what Brian and like I had agreed to do, supposedly, like I don't know if Devin actually wanted Julia out or if Devin did it because me and Brian were doing it. So that's like one question I have.
Yeah.
Well, Brian and Devin both came to me and Michael, I think, not in a group, but that night because they knew. I mean, I don't want to say the vote landed on us, but when they found out that me and Michael were saving Jeremy, Brian and Devin were messaging, because I do think in that scenario, and this is why Devin was taking shots at Kennedy in the game along with Brian, that was totally a shot at Kennedy and Zach by keeping Jeremy. So they came to me and Michael asking, hey, are you saving Jeremy? And it's between Jeremy and Julia, who I had one nomination in the game, and it was Julia. So no brainer for me. And then Michael was also doing it. So those who had come to us and asked, and Devin still asked me first, could not come to me saying, I want to do this, I want to do that. Not once. That's what makes me so fucking frustrated with Devin's game. Not fucking once is it ever, I'm going to do this. Nick Kennedy, did he even ever tell you he was evicting you? Did he even ever end up doing? That's so,
you know who did?
frustrating.
Jeremy.
That's so fucking frustrating because, and I'm saying this to you, Devin, I love you so much, but I'm so frustrated. Kennedy was one of the strongest people in the game, and you could have taken that move and put it under your belt, but you just refused to take the responsibility. Sometimes you have to have. He was so
I gave
worried
him
about
credit for
opposition
it.
in the
I
house.
walked out
Have
and
some
gave him
fucking
credit.
opposition. Do
Yep.
not. This is fucking All Stars. This is not rinky dink random.org mini. Like this is fucking All Stars. Have some fucking opposition. Some of the best players are sitting here, and hey, partly our fault for all going after each other, and this is what we ended up with. But have some fucking conviction. Have some fucking distinction
your
in this
chest.
game.
Which
That is my biggest issue with Devin and
Yep.
Caleb. Like nothing, never, not
Because
once ever.
because Zach
You never
will
know
tell
what they're
you how
doing.
it is. He will say, listen, I'm not doing it. He'll blame it on me early game and say, well, Kennedy doesn't want to.
And the
But
people,
he'll tell you how it is. He will
and
stay
the people that
solid.
are like, yeah, I know what Devin's doing, are the people Devin already knew. Like,
Yep.
on, break out of it, go
Mhm.
big, go home, go whatever, All Stars. Like, and now he's sitting in a position like, I understand that if he would have evicted Zach and Nolan, he would have had to win final HOH or get third. But now he needs to win final HOH to win the game. I mean, I don't. There's not.
And
a
he
big
needs to take
difference.
Caleb, which I hope he does.
Yeah.
He will.
But and
Yeah,
the
he
thing
will.
is, the
Well,
thing
we thought
is,
he was going to evict Zach, so.
well, so the conviction and talking with your chest and saying, so not only did he work with the people that he knew and whatever, like I get it, it is what it is, I don't care. Nolan, he not played you, but he didn't tell you were going. He
Yeah.
didn't tell me I was going. The people he was close to, he didn't tell, hey, I'm evicting you. Because Brian, he sat next to. His whole process. Go ahead, Jeremy. I'm so pissed at him right now.
I went on a little.
Oh, I get it.
As you should.
Listen.
Of all
this is-
people, tell me you're voting me out. I understand not telling Nolan because you're the sole vote, but come on.
Mhm.
During your HOH in the live night when I was sitting on the block, Devin was the person who messaged me saying, I'm sorry, I don't think the votes are there, so I can't do it. Which is when I said what I said on the live about like, don't fucking message me saying the votes are there. I'm pretty sure I'm getting the votes. Talk to the other people that I'm saying have the votes. Don't tell me that the votes aren't there.
Mm-hmm.
And like, then I literally messaged him and was like, talk to Michael and Nick. And then I guess he messaged y'all. So like, he was wishy-washy on that one. And then at Final Six, which was also a live night, I messaged him about 6 or 7 messages being like, this is why I think you should use the veto on me. I'm going to be loyal to you. Fuck Caleb. Caleb and Zach are my number 1 targets. Blah, 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 blah. You can take this opportunity to make a big move. Zach will for sure go home. This will be a great thing for your resume. Blah, 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 blah. I like probably won't win the next competitions. I'm not a good physical player. Like literally everything. And he didn't even respond to me until after he made his veto decision, while I could see him actively typing to other people because his fucking fingers were bouncing on his keyboard. But then after
That's how he plays.
after he used the veto, I messaged him saying, so do I have a shot or are you going to ignore me again? And he sent me like 1 paragraph saying, I'm sorry, the votes aren't there. I'm voting you out.
So,
6 at 6, the votes have to be there.
Final 6. Literally, I need him and Michael to keep me. but because neither Devin or Zach would flip, I even made a 3 chat at the very last second with Michael and Zach that was called I'm Not Joking. That was like, I will literally throw my game away and take third place to both of you. I don't give a single flying fuck. I literally just want to fuck up Devin and Caleb because they fucked me hard. Caleb used my chart to win that HOH and then took me out, which is exactly what I explained to him someone did to me in a past game who was my final 2.
So that a very similar thing happened with Devin and I. So like going back to like the point that he was only really openly honest with the people that he knew. I knew Devin before coming into the game, and like he kept saying to me, Crispy, I'm not going to slither you. I'm not going to slither you, which is like Devin slithers, like whatever. And I'm like, and then fast forward to the round that Missy went. I was actively like trying to get the veto to be used on Missy, knowing that knowing that Devin was going to be the renom, but it wasn't my intention to have like it actually be Devin. I just wanted to save Missy because Missy was one of the few people who actually wanted to work with me in this game. So why wouldn't I want to save her? And then fast forward to New York, and he pulls me aside and he said, Crispy, I know we're not supposed to be talking about the game, but I want to talk to you about something. I go, okay, shoot. He was a little drunk, but whatever.
Oh,
And
he was
can we
drunk.
just bury the hatchet? And I go, what hatchet? I go, what do we need to have buried? And he goes like, we rehash everything that happened and I explain it to him. And he looks me in person into my fucking eyeballs and says that he's not voting me out, that like he has my back. And it's like, it's different if it's over like Zoom or whatever, like whatever. But when you're actively lying to me in person, like to my fucking face, after I'm buying you beer, Devin.
That was it, an Angry Orchard too?
Yeah, an Angry Orchard.
I witnessed that conversation.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, like, I'm not coming after you. Like I said that to him, I'm not. Like, I'm genuinely not. And then it gets to the round where I'm when I'm a final nominee, and even before I was a final nominee, he's slithering to me, saying that there under no circumstances is he voting me out. He's gonna go he's like, I am going to campaign on your behalf, and I am going to make sure that the votes are there for you to stay. I'm like, that's really nice. Thank you. Like, you're obviously safe with me. Like, I'm going to still talk to people. But he's like, no, I know exactly who I need to talk to. I'm going to talk to Zach. I'm going to talk to Kennedy. I'm going to talk to Nolan. I'm like, okay, cool. Thank you. And then.
Those are all the people he convinced to flip and vote you out.
Exactly.
So
hold on. And then the round, like when I become a final nominee, I am like night of eviction. I'm messaging him being like, hey, how's the campaigning going? I'm talking to this. I'm sending him message after message after message. He is ghosting me. Absolutely nothing. And I'm just like, okay, like, if you're going to vote me out, that's fine. I don't care that I'm getting voted out, but it's the jury now. Yep. You have to manage me well. Like ignoring me, ghosting me, building up all of this bullshit about how you're going to have my back and like actively campaign to keep me when I didn't even ask for you to do that. Like, that's just that almost seems really like mean-spirited and like the giving me false hope. And like, the cruelest thing of all is false hope. Like, don't fucking do that shit to me, Devin. Like,
yeah,
I don't think that scenario though was like him giving you false hope. Kennedy could probably confirm this, but I'm pretty sure like he did go to Kennedy at first earlier in the day, campaigning to keep Crispy, felt very strongly, and then had a last minute change, is what I believe, right, Kennedy?
So what had happened is I woke up super early for once, and I messaged him and I was like, hey, are you up? Can we talk? I want to convince you why saving Michael is better. Because for my game, arguably, it was better. I needed Nick. And so we call for 3 hours. We're talking for 3 hours, and by the end of the 3 hours, he has convinced me that saving Crispy is better. And I say to him, if I need to flip on Nick and Zach, and I am the vote that saves Crispy, I'll do it. I have no issue doing that. It makes more sense to save Crispy. I don't need Michael in this game. I then almost immediately hop in a call with Crispy and say, Crispy, I am here for it. I am going to save you. Like, praise Devin. Devin campaigned to keep you. He convinced me that this was the better move. I'm doing it. I'll flip on Nick. I'll flick on Zach. I'll do it. And then I get a message 20 minutes later from Devin after I get off call with Crispy. I'm like, I'll figure out how to do it. I'll talk to Caleb. Like, we'll see what we can do. After I get off call with Crispy, 20 minutes later, Devin says, just got off call with Zach. I'm in. So Devin completely flips. I call him and I'm like, okay, one, what's going on? We sat for 3 hours. Nothing I said convinced you. What did Zach say? And he's like, oh, well, Zach said the same shit that you said, but he was a little bit more convincing. And I was like, are you kidding? So first of all, props to Zach for whatever fucking mist that was. Second of all, Devin, you just campaigned your ass off, to me at least, to save Crispy.
Yeah.
I then was singing your praises, and Crispy, you can confirm that. Like, I was like,
you did.
Devin is the reason you are staying. Praise Devin. I don't even care. Like, if you put up Zach and I don't even remember who I said, Zach and Brian.
You said Zach. You said yourself and Zach. You were
Yeah,
like,
I said if you
put
need
us up,
to,
I
like,
get it, but
Yep. Or I said if you need to put me and Zach, or if you put Zach and Brian and I need to be the renom, just don't put up Devin because Devin is saving you. Like, I willingly said you can put me on the block in his place.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you need to know how serious he is. And then he flips like that. And like the one time where I was like, fuck yes, Devin, put your foot down, he went back on it. And him flipping ended up being the reason why you went home. Because everyone else flipped. It domino affected. There was nothing I could do. I could have voted to keep you. It wouldn't have changed anything. And so it was, I mean, I probably would have tried to pawn it off on like Nolan. Sorry, Nolan. Love you. But it was so frustrating because he could have first of all owned it and said, I control that.
He would have had a solid ally in Crispy, and Crispy and I and you and Zach would have continued to be targeted.
Yep.
If you had won the next round, you would have put me and Crispy on the block next to each other.
And I don't go after Crispy because Crispy and I had a good conversation, and I know that Crispy and Devin are close, so I don't go after Crispy. I go against you. And then at that point, potentially flip on Nick or Zach. Like, I knew I had to do at some point. Like, the game would have been completely different, and Devin could have managed it so well. But now
he could have claimed that,
and he could have claimed it.
Like,
can any of us name a single thing that was positive for his game that he can claim? That he meant to do?
He literally could have taken that and been like, this was the moment I took control of the game and started deciding what was happening.
And then evict my ass and own it.
And then he could have done the same thing, evicting Zach right after, shortly afterward.
Or Zach first, then take me out. I took out both of them. Or I participated. He couldn't win a compensated life.
Putting all of that aside, like owning a move and making a move, the fact that he did it to somebody, the fact that he did it to me, somebody who is like a friend of his, like outside of the game, feels like it stings just that much more.
Yep.
Almost like the friendship part of it didn't even really matter, because of how quickly he was to flip and vote me out. And I would love for Zach to explain why it made sense to vote me out, somebody who was flop star in comps this season, versus, I love Michael, obviously, but versus Michael. That I don't understand. And if it's just
it was Michael and Nick. He couldn't separate Michael and Nick. It was Michael and Nick versus Jeremy and Crispy. Both of y'all would nominate Zach potentially, like, had you won. Whereas I don't think Michael nominates Zach.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have either. Me and Zach. I mean, I don't know for sure, but if I had to guess, I think it would be mainly because of me.
Yes.
Just because I was close to Michael, and me and Zach were damn.
Zach and I
near-
had talked about it a lot
I was
because
gonna say
I
me
wasn't
and Zach were
initially on
damn near a
board.
day one thing in this
Yeah.
game. so.
Okay.
Can
All
I
right.
say, I told Brian at the beginning of that week that is exactly what was going to happen.
Which one of you fuckers told Zach that I was going to nominate him? Who did it? Which one of you told him?
It was probably Devin.
Probably Devin.
Or
I didn't
Zach just
tell
kind
that
of
to
figured it
Devin.
out. I
You
mean,
tell
it
me.
wasn't.
Yeah, I think it was more just like obvious.
I
Yeah.
think.
Girl, you
I
were
mean,
gonna nominate me and Zach next to each other.
I mean, Devin and
No, we
Zach.
were,
I mean,
but, like,
even-
how was it obvious? Like, I didn't.
No,
you-
it was. I thought it was pretty obvious.
This is the thing though, is like because I was vocal about things, you were automatically paired as also being doing
Vocal.
that when you
That's
won. Like
so, that is
See,
so
but the thing is-
goddamn annoying.
I know.
The thing is, for your game, I given the chance, if it was between Jeremy and Crispy, I vote out Jeremy. If given the
Exactly.
chance, if I pull one of you and I work with one of you, it's gonna be Crispy. Because Jeremy, I love you, but you're chaotic as hell. And I knew that if I could split you up, if I had my choice to split you up, Jeremy goes every time because I think Crispy and I can work together. And I think that's a lot of people's opinions. I think Crispy and I got fucked the same way where people try to take a shot at our number one because we were paired with them immediately. And when that person wasn't an option, they took the shot at us instead.
The
And
only
it's fucking annoying because we're all stars, damn it. And we
Told
deserve
you,
to be
Brian.
taken out
That was
for our
Told
game.
you.
that was like the whole pre-jury game, though, is that everybody was taking shots
We're
at
not worried
Kennedy
about
and
that.
Zach and Jeremy and Crispy, but not really. They were taking shots at everybody around them. So
I
the
do
people
feel
around
bad
them
about
were
that.
getting-
I'm
we're the
sorry,
ones getting-
Thomas.
yeah.
Thomas.
I was just gonna say I don't have like a chart on me, but I can't think of like a single time when Devin voted in minority because he
He
didn't
was
want to.
afraid.
Yeah, because he didn't want to put his foot down, and even if you were his like close to him, like I think he just votes with majority anyway. Where it's like Michael had already put me on the block, and like I did not trust him. Yet I still saved Crispy, who like Crispy, we didn't talk at all. Like let's be honest, like
No.
And
and-
I can't think of a single time where Devin was like, I'm gonna do this regardless of what happens. Like I'm gonna do what I set out to do. And I just like I'm kind of just like, whereas Caleb, at least he did say like sometimes where he was gonna do something like sometimes, or otherwise he'd like flip flop. But like
Mhm.
at least like I've seen Caleb vote in minority like to save Missy, to save probably I'm trying to like I can't do this in my head, but like and-
Justin.
Justin.
Missy,
It-
Justin.
and I gotta ask Brian because like you're someone that was obviously like you and Devin were close, like, and I know you guys like discussed the votes. Like when you guys were discussing who to vote out, was it like you leading the conversation or was it him? And who was the one that was more so like driving the vote?
I think that I mean Devin always expressed our opinions aligned a lot in the game, which is why we ended up, I feel like, working so close, is because almost every single vote, the round that we wanted to save Nicholas over Missy, the Thomas vote, he was on side. For almost all the votes, we kind of had the same opinion. So it wasn't an issue of like he had to convince me or I had to convince him that I could at least think of. But I mean, I think Devin was opinionated in a few of votes, specifically the Nicholas versus Missy one. Like Devin was like a big voice
Mhm.
on that one, like was like,
Oh.
I want this to happen.
But how early? Because Zach and I
Right off the bat.
immediately went to Devin and said, you need to save Nick, and here's why.
I think me, Devin, and Nick got on a call like that night, like right after the ceremony. Like Devin was very much like, I need Missy to go and I need Nick to stay.
So that night, like that night, I made, I think, like 3 chats. Like it was me, Zach Kennedy, me, Brian Devin, me, Nolan Josh. Because I was like, there were, it was what, 7-5, so 12 votes, right? I mean, like there was a lot of people to talk to, and I'm like, I'm not getting on 12 calls. So I was like, boom, 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 three chats. I knew, so in my head in that vote, it was like, okay, Brian and Devin are saving me, but they're not really saving me. They're evicting Missy. I think in your interest, it was more like, let's get rid of Missy. And
Right.
this is actually, I think, the vote that really drew me closer to Zach and Kennedy, because I honestly felt like Zach and Kennedy were saving me to save me rather than just getting rid of Missy to get rid of Missy.
We were close with Missy. We had a 3 with Missy.
Yeah, I know. And I felt really good about that. Devin Devin jumped onto that, so I can give Devin credit there. I don't know that. I mean, and I, you know, there was 12 people voting at that point. That was for final 15, right? Maybe I don't have the correct perception. I don't know that Devin was a big like, you know, wind in there. But however, I only stayed 7-5. So Devin signing on, he was an important vote. I will give him that for sure. I don't know that he was a big voice in getting those 7 votes, but I know that it was 7-5. It was pretty damn close. So
I think
I will
that
give
round
him-
specifically, that would be the round I would say he had the voice with me. Like, 'cause I think
Okay.
like I was very hesitant about it because me and Nick were going at it from the beginning,
Right.
and I didn't really want to, but Devin was very much, no, we have to. It makes sense for X, Y, and Z.
That's good to know. No, that I mean, that would be the one example I can think of, and that's good to
think
know.
that
I
is
mean,
the one.
because it is a good example, and it was early in the game. I mean, you could lose a lot at final 15, so I'll give him that. Good.
My thing is, given circumstances and whatever, I don't care. I think that Devin played very tunnel visioned, and I think that the hand. I think Devin played very tunnel visioned, and I think he played very scared. I again, regardless, whatever, blah 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 blah. I went home. What was it? 6-1.
Yes.
He told me he had told me that when Zach came off, Devin was like, I want you here. Like, I don't want you to go, blah, 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 blah. But he said, I am not saving you if it's 5-2. If Devin had saved me, regardless of the game, because y'all didn't fault Zach for saving me, would you really have faulted Devin for saving me in a 5-2? Like,
Probably
but
not.
he
If
played
it was
so
a 5-2,
scared. If it's a 5-2, if Devin saves me just to like, because he saved me, he
No.
knew I wasn't no,
I wouldn't
because
care.
it's fucking Devin and Zach. And so
I
it's
think it would've
frustrating.
a little bit because he was like
I don't
telling
think
a
they
lot of
would have,
people.
because given everything, I don't think they would have. And he
Okay.
could have pitched it like that. Like, he was so afraid of the idea of voting wrong or the backlash of doing something wrong that he, like, I just think he played scared. And I'm saying my vote specifically because that's one I think he could have gotten away with. But I think that's how he maneuvered the game, as he was so afraid, like in those freaking Mission Impossible movies of like the lasers. Like, he was so focused on that, but he didn't see someone with a gun to his head. And it's just it's frustrating because he just made bad moves.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Speaking about the Missy Nick round, I'm pretty sure that I also got on call with Devin right after the veto ceremony that round, and he told me almost immediately that he wanted Nick to go, which could very well have been pandering, but like, he was quite vocal to me about wanting Missy to stay that round, and because then I got Josh, so then I was under the impression that we had 6 votes, and so if Brian flipped, it would be 7-5 the opposite way. So like,
Pandering.
but like that. Does that equate to putting your foot down about a vote?
Well, I think Devin's whole game is that he played the middle. That's obviously what he did well at. He was the last person to not touch the block. He didn't really get no one ever took a shot at Devin, and he was a threat in the game at different points.
This is one thing.
Brian.
One thing that I just thought of is that all 3 of them were failed backdoors at some point. Round 3, Caleb was supposed to be backdoored. The round of Julia's HOH, Devin was supposed to be backdoored. And my HOH at final 7, Zach was supposed to be backdoored.
Ooh.
Yeah, fuck people who don't use veto.
But I mean,
The
speaking on Zach though, like, because I think it's time to like, I think we should move along. You know, like,
You don't like the Devin hate?
I mean, I
You
could
don't
go
like
on
shitting
for
on
hours.
Devin?
Jokes aside,
Caleb?
I think that Devin played a really strong game. I think he handled the players well. I think he handled the people poorly. I think he catered to the players and forgot that we're people too. And I think Caleb catered to the people and forgot that we're players too. And I think that Zach is a very good way to mesh both of them. But
yeah.
I do think Devin played good.
Zach straight up, when the noms were final, he had his way until Julia left. He always, the person that Zach wanted to go, went home. In like every single, even if the noms were bad, it didn't matter, because if Zach, wanted this person gone, that's who left. Whereas like with the other two, I can't really like speak for sure. I mean, obviously Caleb wanted like probably Jackson and Missy to stay somewhere in there, and like Devin wanted Thomas to stay and wanted I don't know, like Missy to stay or whatever. I don't know. But with him, like I think Zach maintained very good control of like knowing when like what he wanted and being able to like accomplish it with his relationships that he had, where he had like, I think with him out of the three, like I think he had the most close relationships with people and he kept them hidden the best.
My main thing with Zach is, well, it's interesting because coming into this, I kind of viewed, a lot of you just said that you thought Devin played with his friends, people he knew coming in. For me, I felt Zach was the way bigger. He came in being on production for season 10. He came in with Kennedy and Devin. He had Julia, who he just finished up playing a game with. He had Nolan as a relationship, and he played with those people. He did not ever turn against those people. He played with his friends 100%, way more than Devin, in my opinion. So, and I know because I know that was a reason against Devin. I do think he kind of walked in with, you know, the pieces on the board were already like set up for him a little bit.
I think, yeah, I would agree that Devin had less people. I do think that Devin still played with his people, but I think Devin was more open. I know Devin early on had gotten close to Missy. Devin got close to Nolan. Nolan, did you know him coming in?
I like from a long time ago. It's been
But
like
not
2-3 years.
not to
no,
the
not
extent
like on that
of
level.
anybody else. And then
I would say
obviously
I
me,
didn't
Zach,
know
and
Devin
Brian.
coming in also as much as people think. Like we played
Right,
one game
because-
together, one round of the game, and I was
Yeah.
voted off. Like we had I think 2 calls that game. Like we were not friends coming in.
Right. So I would argue, or I would agree that Zach probably had more connections and more. The thing with Zach's connections is they were connections that were built on something that had already proved itself. With me, I didn't flip on Zach until final 5, and it wasn't even a Zach. I took out somebody that Zach would take to the end over me. Zach and Julia were a duo. Like Zach could rely on these connections and could trust that the information he was getting was true because of the people he was getting it from. And
Mhm.
so I think that's a really good point. Whereas I think Devin didn't necessarily have that because Devin's people were on the same side as Devin. The information I was getting was the same information Devin was getting. The information Brian was getting was the same as what Devin was giving. Arguably Nolan, but Nolan wasn't nearly as close with New School as Julia was. And Zach was getting that information from Julia. So I do agree that they both played with their friends, but if you had to pick who like had it tougher and came out better, I would say Devin handled it better. But they also didn't choose to have their friends here. But
I also don't think Devin has the same level of target threat level that Zach did coming
Yes.
into the game.
Yeah.
oh,
Whereas
100%. Power
Zach
ranking
was-
the whole cast, I would put Zach at number 1.
Zach was
Yes.
nominated week 1.
Yeah.
By who?
Me.
By Jeremy.
No,
Me.
I'm kidding. That was
Um,
Jeremy and I's like second or third call, and Jeremy was like, "So I will be nominating Zach," and I was like, "Okay, I have to support it, I guess, because we were gonna work together." Well,
We could have still.
I know.
Glad
We
you
literally
didn't.
manipulate people the same way. We would have been so good. That's why we couldn't manipulate each other. Anyway.
I do have to give him credit though, because like as soon as the jury hit, like all of us here, anyone that's in the final 11, like people weren't pulling any punches. They were going through who they wanted out, and all this built up like animosity of like, I'm sick of waiting, just like rushed out the gate, and everyone wanted their people that they wanted out. The big threats were suddenly the people in like the range of the gun. And that's why we had like people like me, Devin, and Caleb at the final 4. And I do have to give like Zach that credit, because he was able to, at final 11, he was able to use his comps effectively to like pull himself off the block, or safety chain. He used that effectively because Josh went home, and Zach really did want Josh in the game. And his HOH, he took out Braden, and Braden was like spreading all these rumors of like saying that Zach was after like me, Josh, Caleb, like all these people. And that was like a whole thing. And then you just look at the end game, and Zach gets pulled off the block by Devin, gets saved in the vote of final 4 by Devin. he's not in the final nominee until final 4 at the game, which is like crazy to think about.
Is that a good Zach
those-
move or a bad Devin move?
I was just gonna say those two things. If Devin is sitting in the final 2 and he can't explain to me why they made sense, is gonna have a rough go with me as a juror.
I mean, Zach was on the top of the game. Zach was on the bottom of the game. Zach was all there. I mean, Zach did really well in pre-jury. He did well in jury too, but I don't think Zach had as much control in jury. It became a little bit more of like survive it. And I mean, here he is. I mean, he did well. And you can definitely argue it's not because he was just winning all these challenges. The last like what 3 rounds, he didn't win anything, right?
Yeah,
I'd have to check, but besides part 1, I mean, so he really did like dodge, and it's going to be to some people's detriments. Like, I think, like, I mean, Devin, we're all fucked up. I really fucked up. I mean, I get it. I get that maybe he was playing statistics, but I don't know. Maybe I don't really get it, but
Statistics for what?
statistics being that if
I don't
So,
think Zach takes him.
he evicted Nolan and
Yeah.
he
Jack
took,
does.
Are you sure Zach takes him?
He swore in his family.
See, but
Not
Zach's
even-
a smart player, and I know, and Zach knows that Devin has a shot. Caleb doesn't.
I think
Or on
Zach
his
will evict
family to
Caleb.
take Devin to final
Yeah.
2.
Yeah, he said it on the eviction.
I hope.
But I feel
mean,
like you have to do what you have to do to make it to the end.
Yeah,
Oh,
but-
I think
but-
I love that he did that. I think that's
Yeah.
like fighting to every last minute. Like I give him
Well,
It's
props
really
for that.
grit of your teeth kind of thing.
For an
For an online game.
No. Sorry. I think that's gross.
I will
But
say
I don't think
the
he's gonna
amount
do
of
it.
times, I've heard Devin say, it's an online reality game. When people get hurt over stuff is frustrating. So I would love for him to lose Union next to Zach, and I go, oh, but babe,
and I think
it's
he
an
should.
online reality game.
In my opinion, I do think he should
Oh, I'd love it.
against Zach Union. But I mean, I don't know. I think Zach will take Devin. I think it doesn't matter. I think Zach's gonna win
Zach
either
wins.
way. I still think, I don't know. Devin still is in the position that he needs to win final HOH to win the game. I think. And now if he doesn't, like, before it's like if you don't win, you get third. Now if you don't win, you're getting second. So it's like, I'd rather get third. I mean, fuck second, honestly. I'd rather just evict me and don't make me go through the process of everything.
You're not-
against
yeah,
someone
you're not
like
winning.
Zach. Like,
So-
I mean,
It's been
like,
being last season's runner-up.
yeah, I would prefer not, honestly. That in season 10, that's what I did. I went to Sarah. I was like, if I win tonight, I'm evicting you, and if you win, please evict me, because I don't even want to sit here in finals knowing I'm going to lose to you like that. I don't. Maybe that's just me. I don't know, but I don't find like I got second
Yeah.
and not third.
It's more entertaining to have it be a fight.
I would prefer to
Not
be
like
last
a
juror
like
at that
gladiator
point,
style.
but-
Right, but at the same time, second
I'd
or
rather
third
be in the final 2.
lose. Like it's-
Jeremy said, "I'm about the numbers."
No, not even
You're a
about
chart
the
bitch. I
numbers.
respect it.
I want to argue my case, whether the jury
Yeah.
respects
Okay,
it or not.
fair.
Like, I want to
Never
tell my
forget the
story,
jury.
and
But-
I want to say what I have to say.
But the thing
Yeah,
is,
me too.
I love Caleb to death, but I think you arguing your case versus Caleb arguing his case in this position is different. Because
Oh,
I don't think you ever play a game like Caleb.
Yeah,
No.
I'm
I
sorry.
thought that- Never
go
mind.
ahead.
I'm not gonna.
Let me rephrase. I would love to be final 2 against somebody that I feel like I at least have a chance to beat. No way in hell do I want to sit next to someone like Zach in this game.
Yeah.
That's
If you were
what- that's
Caleb
what I
and
mean,
Zach
like-
is Zach,
Yeah, I'm not sitting here like, no, I'm a fucking minnow compared to what Zach's getting. If I'm Devin or if I'm Caleb, I feel like they're a fucking minnow compared to Zach's shark game. I would not want to be compared to Zach's shark game, in my opinion. Now, if it's a pretty fair fight and I think I truly do have a chance, of course I want to be there. And I'll take second if it happens. But if I'm like, I don't know about this, like, if I can't sit here and look someone in the eye and be like, I feel like I deserve to win. Like, I don't think I deserve to win over Zach. I don't think anybody deserves to win over Zach.
Mhm.
It would be really hard to like try to even convince the jury in my way to want that, in my opinion.
But we all
I
knew
love that you
that.
said the
though.
shark.
And
have a
we all
shark, a
knew that.
snake,
That's
and
the
a
We
shark.
all
problem.
knew nobody was beating Zach at the
We
end.
all
That's
knew
why,
that.
like,
Yeah.
it's kind
mean-
of like damned if you do.
That
damned
was
if you
all of
don't.
your pitches
By
for
the
why I
time-
need to flip on Zach, just so each of you know, all of you said you need to flip on him at some point. He's beating anyone at the end.
Yeah.
And what did y'all do? Kept him here.
I saw him.
I tried to take him out so many times.
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, he
Nick,
won
you worked
veto
with
2
him!
times. Huh?
You worked with him.
Absolutely. I was planning. I
And I
wouldn't have
did
taken him to
too.
the final 2, though. I would have tried to cut him at
But-
3 or 4.
Oh,
But
yeah.
he did win veto the 2 times you nominated him, and then you had him. You had him right there, and fucking Devin. It was Devin there. I mean, oh no, that was Devin. I don't mind. But yeah, it was Devin at that point. But
Yep.
I mean, to Zach's like positive, I mean, he did win the vetoes he needed. I mean, he was looking at eviction.
That's
If he had sat
true.
on that block against Michael, I would have evicted Zach easy at that point.
Yeah, I'm specifically the voting out Nolan move. I don't think it's as bad as it looks, like just as it looks when you first think about it, because it is true. Like, if Devin would have went the other direction, he would have had a 1 in 3 shot. The other 2 people were 100% giving him 3rd place, and he would have had to win the final HOH. And in this scenario, he had Caleb, who could, it is. I don't think it's crazy to think Caleb could beat Zach in the part 1 that was game stat related. Caleb had beat Zach in before or after already this season. So I don't think that's crazy. And then Devin would have beaten Zach in part 2 potentially, and then he's wiped out. So it's like he added in that, which it's like, I totally get it, and I don't necessarily even think it was the right move, but I do think it was like a more marginal decision, like than an obvious decision.
Yeah.
The thing is, that relies on trusting Zach's good to his word and not trusting that you can flip Nolan.
Zach's not been horribly
No,
like
I
a
don't-
liar
but
this time. Am I crazy
but
to
this
think that?
specific
Like, I don't think.
instance,
Yeah.
like picking who goes to the end with you is much more serious than picking who gets 12th. And it's putting the power in Zach's hands potentially, and knowing that Zach has that power. And Zach is someone that I don't think should have been able to get that power this far in the game. Zach should have been out any chance they had, and Devin had 2 shots and didn't take either of them.
But if Devin wins and takes out Zach, then good job. It worked. It's a big
Yeah.
risk. I don't know that it was.
Right.
I don't know
It's
that
like it's like Russian roulette.
I don't know if it's a
you
good
have
enough
shots to play.
payoff. I
Let's see
mean,
what
it's
happens.
like you had Zach last round, and now you got to hope you have Zach again this round.
Mhm.
And
That's
even
the
I
problem.
would
And Zach
I-
is a damn good player who will not play with his heart if
Although
he doesn't have to.
Zach hasn't been killing challenges as much as I thought he was, to be honest.
Doesn't
I
he have
have
5?
to point that out.
But he
Huh?
also
Yeah.
threw competitions throughout most of the pre-jury unless he was at risk because he
Me.
wanted Kennedy to take the fall for all of his moves.
Well,
and
the
I
last
wanted
like
that
4
record, so I
rounds he hasn't
ate
won
that
much.
shit up.
He hasn't
Yeah,
won.
do
I
we
mean,
know
the
for
last
a
few
fact
rounds-
that he threw them? Like, do we know for a fact that he threw them, or was it that he just lost?
No,
and
he threw them.
did?
He threw
There
them.
was- there
We
was
had
quite a few
calls
that he drew.
figuring out that how he was going to throw them to me, when he was going to throw them to me. The wheel comp we threw to Brian. Like, yeah,
He
no.
didn't win anything from what 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. He didn't
And
win.
there was
anything.
no way he
But
was
he had to
throwing
play.
up.
He had to play it down. Although that's
At
true.
8,
That
7,
does
6, 5, 4. He was looking at a
6, he went on the
whole time.
block. He wasn't.
Yeah, he was.
No, but he
what?
had-
no.
no, but he
He
had
needed
to.
to
He had to
win.
damage control more than he had to be flashy, didn't he?
At 8, 7,
If he-
no.
if he doesn't damage control, he's
staring
done.
at him. The only saving grace he had at final 7 and me going and not him was Devin. That was his only saving grace at
But
that point.
is that not damage control with Devin?
No, he was close to Devin the whole time. When did he have damage with
Okay,
Devin?
fair.
I think that's I think he was always with Devin, and
Fair.
that's something to both of their positives. I didn't know they were as close as they were until a little later, but hey, I mean, played it off well, good for them. But I mean, at 8, Brian left. Okay, sure, he didn't need to win anything at 8 because I was HOH. So let's say he threw it at
Mhm.
7. Jeremy was HOH, and he
Yeah.
definitely needed to win
He
something.
needed that, yeah.
no
At
way.
6, live night, he's lucky Jeremy didn't win anything, or it probably would have been him. At 5, he was completely vulnerable. And at 4, arguably, depending on what happens this round, may have been the worst move of the game. So I mean,
True.
he really did
I
need to
think I
win.
see him
So
as more
I
powerful
will
than
not
he
accept the
is.
fact
I'm a
that
little biased.
I know, but I will not accept the fact that he was throwing challenges from 7, 6, 5, 4. Maybe
That I don't
8,
know.
Yeah,
I doubt he
maybe
was
8, but
throwing
7,
there.
6, 5, 4. No fucking way was he throwing challenges. He
Oh,
just
I don't
didn't.
think anybody
I-
throws there though. Sorry,
I-
I wasn't arguing that he threw there. I was arguing that it wasn't bad that he had to play down. And he
I
doesn't throw
want
that
to
late.
hear if he threw final 7 veto. And I want to ask him if he threw final 7 veto
Yeah.
because if my deal with him and then not putting him on the block actually lured him into thinking that he didn't need to win that veto, and if it got used by anybody else that he was not going to be the renom, then I think that is a discredit to his game, because his awareness should have been better than that, because everybody else in the house knew about that plan except for him.
I will say, I told him after the fact when veto didn't get used, I'm like, I know Jeremy was going to nominate you, and he did seem a little shocked. So it is very possible he could have thrown it. What was the veto again that round?
That was the loved ones veto, and he was the worst time, I'm pretty sure.
And
Their
I
second place.
feel like I remember someone saying he threw
13.
that HOH to Jeremy because he got the last question wrong. That was very obvious.
Yes. He definitely.
And I think that was
Oh,
wait.
I think that is something, and I did ask him in the game, and he said no. I think he threw that HOH in my head. The competition names, no way. And I know
the easiest one.
the name he picked, he put Stack It Up. This is how much I remember it, because he put Stack It Up for double stuffed. It was too perfect of a name to fuck up.
And it had the competition just happened, and
he
B,
got second place.
He got second place in it and
Right.
threw it to you.
He had them written down, obviously.
Yeah.
So like, there's no way that he didn't throw that competition. So like at Final 7, I'm pretty sure he threw both HOH and veto, thinking that he was fully safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was a mistake for sure.
I think that would be a mistake. And I did. And I think I told you during the game too, that I kind of suspected he threw that HOH. And maybe he kept telling me he never fully trusted Michael. He kept trusting Michael through me, but he was like, Michael doesn't get on call. Michael doesn't this. And I kept going to Michael, go call him. Michael, go call him. And I'm not going to lie, I dragged my ass on making a 3. I finally made a 3 with me, Michael, Zach. I think the right before the round I got evicted. I mean, I dragged my ass on it, and he just never fully trusted Michael. So maybe that was a way of him trying to get Michael out. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. That would be a good question, because I do think it would be a mistake at that point.
I worry about asking that question because I think he is a smart enough person that will be able to tell exactly like what you're looking for by asking that. If you want him,
you admit to that, you're like an idiot at that point.
I'm going to ask it, and I'm going to try to figure out a way to ask it in a like roundabout way.
Just be like, so my HOH, the one that you threw, and see if he says yes.
Yeah, no way is he like, I don't know. He said because he got on call with me. He's like, man, I had all the competition names written down except this last round. You did not go into HOH, not at least a little bit prepared.
Especially
at least a
everyone
little.
knew that one was going to be a game stat one. Like everyone was preparing beforehand.
Yeah.
Are we talking about Zach?
Yes.
Okay, because sorry, I'm trying to pack for my cruise. But no, I can confirm because Zach sent me like his notes for the comps, and like based off the image I got, let me see. I still have it because it was like over different website. It was over Discord, but I can post it somewhere in the chat. But he's missing like the last couple here. I'll post it. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but oh well.
I mean, it's
information that you have.
Yeah.
I'll post it in the jury house. This is what he sent me for like the comps.
Why does he have veto for everything except?
Yeah, no, I don't. I think he deleted those to make it look like he wasn't throwing it, because there's no reason why he would have the 2 veto comps and not the 2 HOH comps.
That's true, but to our detriment, though, he probably knew throwing it would lead to me and Michael being on the block at that point, and he never showed me that. I cannot speak for Michael. I know he got on call with me, and I was like, oh my God, I really wanted you to win. And he was like, damn, I didn't have the last like round or whatever, like written down, right? So I never even knew, like, as far as I knew, he had everything handwritten. I didn't even know he had an electronic like spreadsheet or anything like that. So I cannot say that he even showed that to me. Had he shown that to me, I'd be like, nah, he deleted something. Like, I was already kind of on the case there, but like, what was I gonna do? I needed Zach. I couldn't just go confronting him crazy. But I'm on the fence about it. It is very possible. I don't know that it would be an amazing decision to throw it, but it's very possible he did throw it. So that is something.
Well, he knew that. Are we talking about, wait, what comp is this again? Like the,
This
But-
was the when you had to name the competitions.
And then also the veto. Like I
the
want to
final
ask.
7? I can't imagine he like actually did throw them, only because I did tell him beforehand that like he was the backdoor. So
Okay.
he definitely knew. So I don't think he would have like threw going into it, but I can't speak for like 100% certainty.
But I
Because-
mean, the HOH he still could have thrown, not knowing
Yeah,
that Jeremy was going to win. So it is possibly could have thrown that. If I had to guess, I don't think he'd throw a veto, but like, I mean, it's very possible.
I mean, I thought that this was a timed one, but it was a points one, and he did come in like third. So
okay.
it was Devin won, and then you got second, and then he had the exact same score as you, but in 8 turns instead of in 5.
No,
And
I
then
think y'all are thinking of a different veto.
no, this is code.
That was the veto I got evicted on.
No, but there's one veto, and maybe I'm thinking of a different veto, but there's one veto specifically that I looked and I was like, Zach, what?
Oh,
stacking on your arm.
Yeah.
Are you talking about
No,
Gather Goodies? The 7-minute 3 seconds one. That was the round. That was final 8.
Yeah, it was that one. That was the one that I was.
That was during
thinking
Nick's
of.
HOH.
That was.
Which he could have. He did not need
Yeah,
anything. He was
definitely at that
totally
round.
He
fine
didn't
that
need it.
round.
He was fine.
Yeah. Because his time was the only time that was longer than 2 minutes, and it was 7 minutes.
What
Mhm.
was gather your goodies? Like, what did we have
That
to
was
do? again?
the ping pong balls up to the top cup with the.
Oh yeah, which I mean, maybe he's not very good at physical. I mean, I do think he probably threw it, but I mean, maybe he's not good at the physical games because I mean, there was a learning curve to that. And if you dropped once or twice, I mean, my tower fell at one point, not horribly. I was able to fix it pretty easy, but there was a learning curve to it.
The one where you're doing it on your arm.
No, the one where you had to take the balls and you had to use the spoon to. Put
Oh,
it in
that
the
one.
cup.
Yeah.
But like getting it off the cup, you couldn't just go like perpendicular. You had to go at a different angle.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to wrap it up here because I think I think a lot of what's said is just going back around in circles. But like if y'all have any last thoughts, you can throw them out there now before I wrap it up.
I feel like I'm in the same mindset that I was in coming into this. I still hate Caleb's game. I still modically respect, but also don't really respect a lot of Devin's game. And I think Zach's game was good. It had a couple flaws, but that's about it.
I would like to say that I do think higher of Devin's game than I showed.
I
do
love
think
them
he-
all
I think he played
personally,
really
but I do
well.
have things to tell them in jury.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. I was walking in.
Jack, when
I
it's final
still don't
HOH,
really
you need to
care.
Chris.
Yeah.
I
Don't
still
be
don't
scared.
care. Fuck them all. Just kidding, kind of.
Not really.
No, I'm not kidding.
It's no
I mean-
big deal.
I miss Julia.
Nolan.
I had to get one in there.
I have something to say when the live is not when it's no longer recording about that.
Okay. Well, I'll wrap it up here. Thank you so much for doing the jury roundtable. 6 out of 8 people. Not too bad. Not too bad. Michael did say he was going to make an appearance, but we waited long enough for him. So that's his fault at this point. But thank you so much. Finale will be Monday. I don't know. I don't think we have